This is Pastor B with Tuesday's Touch for October the 20th, 2020, and we have been looking at the life of Joseph. When we last left Joseph, we saw him in prison. He refused the advancements of his master's wife, and she created a story out of her frustration about how he tried to assault her. Her husband believed her and had Joseph thrown into prison. But even in prison, Joseph prospered. In fact, he did good. The Bible says that while he was in prison, he interpreted the dreams of the king's cupbearer and also the king's baker, and things turned out exactly the way that he said they would. Their only request was that Joseph be remembered, that they remember Joseph when they got out of prison, and they maybe even put a good word in for him so that he could get out. But of course, they didn't remember him. 2 years passed, and the king of Egypt had a dream. He called in his advisors, and they could not answer or figure out or interpret the dream. And at that moment, the cupbearer of the king remembered, there was a Hebrew boy who was in prison with me, and he interpreted my dream, and it turned out exactly the way he said it would. And so Pharaoh, with his people not being able to interpret the dream, called for Joseph to come up out of prison and to enter into his court. So Joseph shaved and bathed and entered into the presence of the king. And the king told him that he had had a dream that no one could interpret, and that he wanted Joseph to interpret the dream for him. And Joseph said to him, "I cannot do it, but God will give the Pharaoh the answer to his dream." That ought to sound familiar to us. If you could remember back when Joseph was in prison, when the cupbearer of the king and the baker of the king told him that they had a dream that they want to interpret, Joseph said to them, "Do not all interpretations belong to God? Tell me about your dream." Not the same exact words, but the same message, essentially, the same idea. In both instances, Joseph made clear that it was not him that was going to interpret the dream, but that God was going to interpret them. In both instances, Joseph decided to give God the credit and the glory for his success. He said, "It's not about me, it's about God." When he was in front of the prisoners, the people that he had charge over, because he was in charge of them in prison, folks that were convicts that couldn't help him out, couldn't do anything for him, people that he was in charge of, he still gave God glory. And now that he's in the presence of the Pharaoh, a person who could get him out of jail just like that could make him a millionaire just like that, Joseph still gives God the glory for the success in his life. He says, "It show's not about me, it's about God." Joseph reminds us, right, that if you want the blessings of God on your life, loyalty to God cannot be situational. It can't be based on who's in front of you or how you're feeling. If God is God and if Jesus Christ is the Lord of your life, then he's got to be that all the time. Another way of putting it is to say that you can't allow who's in front of you to distract you from the God that's above and over you and inside of you. We talk to children about peer pressure, right? And about how they need to avoid peer pressure, but peer pressure affects adults as well. We know that all too well, don't we? You might not want to admit it, but you've been in situations where you've seen people, or maybe even you've experienced this yourself, when certain folks get around you and you begin to act differently. Certain people come into your space and spend time with you, and habits that you had given up, attitudes and perspectives that you had changed, they all just kind of surface to the top again, and you find yourself wondering who you are. Why am I acting like this? Even our witness of who God is in our lives sometimes can change based on the people in front of us, but Joseph was not like that. When he was in Potiphar's house and Potiphar's wife was making advances to him, he honored God. When he was in prison the people were asking him for help to interpret their dreams. They couldn't help him. He could help them. He still gave God the presence. He still gave God the credit for his success. And now that he's in the presence of the king, the person that could get him out of jail just like that, he does not take this opportunity to blow his own horn or to toot his own horn. No, he still gives God the glory. He says, I can't do it, but God will give Pharaoh the answer to his dream. Joseph also reminds us, as I said, that if you honor God, you don't have to toot your own horn. God will reward you. Pharaoh tells Joseph about the dreams. He says, I saw 14 cows in my dream, 7 healthy cows and 7 cows that were skinny and gaunt and didn't look good. They were ugly cows. And the ugly cows ate the healthy and the plump cows up, so much so that you didn't even know that the healthy ones had ever been there. And I saw 14 ears of corn, and there were 7 of them who were healthy and bright and colorful. And there were 7 of them that were ugly and withered. And the withered corn ate up the healthy corn, so much so that you didn't even know that the healthy corn had been there. And Joseph said, okay, Pharaoh, I know what that means. That's God's way of telling you that Egypt is about to experience 7 years of prosperity. But after those 7 years of prosperity, Egypt is going to experience a very hard and harsh famine. And it's going to be so bad that people are not even going to remember the 7 previously prosperous years. Then Joseph said, in order to get ready for this, you need to find a discerning person to put in charge of your empire so that you can prepare for what's to come. And guess what Pharaoh says to Joseph? Since God has made all this known to you, there is no one so discerning as you. You shall be in charge of my palace, and all my people are to submit to your orders. Only with respect to the throne will I be greater than you. If you stay consistent, if you honor God, you don't have to toot your own horn. God will bless you. God will prosper you. God will make a way for you. So now Joseph has literally gone from the pit to the prison to the palace, so much so that he is second in command in Egypt, and it is here that he will face his greatest challenge of life. We'll pick up there next week with Tuesday's Touch. This is Tuesday's Touch, October the 20th, 2020. Listen, I want to remind you that this evening at 7 o'clock Eastern Time, we will be having our political forum. We have 30 candidates who will be joining us via Zoom, and all of you are welcome to join as well. The link is below for you to participate. This is your opportunity for you to make sure that you are aware of the platforms and the people who are running for office in our community. And also want to remind you that this Sunday at 9 a.m. we will be worshiping on the lawn as we celebrate our 154th anniversary here at St. James. I hope to see you at both. This is Pastor B, Tuesday's Touch for October the 20th, 2020, and you have been